Shall we begin?
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the More Than Just Keto podcast. We are in season 2.
Can you believe it? Season 2, 2 seasons, Molly.
I know, it's so
I
exciting.
didn't ever think we'd have one, let alone 2.
And here we are, episode 1, season 2. What? It's awesome. It's so exciting. So exciting.
I'm so excited.
Well, I'm Molly. I'm one of your hosts, Molly.
And I'm Ashley, your other host. Thanks for joining us. So we wanted to start this episode off, it's the new year. We love a clean slate. We love fresh beginnings. And we wanted to take this back to the old days where, more than a year, more than 2 years ago, where we were really not feeling our best. So today is all about when feeling bad becomes your normal, and I say that with big air quotes, when you are feeling worse than you should and you don't even really understand how bad you're feeling, and that becomes your normal.
I know one thing that I always say is like, you don't know how good feels until you feel good. And it sounds crazy, but
and also you do have to feel bad enough to know the difference between the two as well.
Right. And like you said, we're taking this back to before. So we're going to talk a little bit in this episode about how that normal was for us. Because normal is relative. Everyone's normal is different. But basically, Ashley had her time. I had my time before we got healthy. So now we're healthy. We feel amazing, and we wish we could bottle it up and give it to every single person who's never felt it, so they would know how good it feels and know that they never not want to feel like this again. Is that proper? They never not want to feel like this again, because it is that amazing.
Yeah. And not only that, but just, understand that we were there too.
Yeah.
We talk about how good we feel now. And I have stated several times and continue to state that this is so much beyond weight loss for me at this point. Yeah. And it is driven by how I feel. And I really want to get into that and talk about what that looks like and how far you can come in such a short amount of time. And when I look back now, I can really, really see that I clearly did not understand what I was experiencing. I was kind of going through the motions, and I really wasn't fully self-evaluating my health and how I was feeling. Like, I was not checking in with myself saying like, are you good?
Yeah.
Because the answer is no, I was definitely not. But it's very hard to see that when you're in it. So our hope is today that if you're listening to this and you're like, okay, maybe that's me. Or if you start to hear things that resonate with you and you're like, I identify with this.
Right.
We totally get it. Because we've both been there.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've talked before about this. We didn't understand how bad we were feeling. Like I was saying to you before, as crazy as it sounds, I would expect to feel bad the day after a party or a holiday or whatever.
You make a choice to feel bad.
I knew the next day I was going to feel bad, but I was going to eat this anyway. It was like, I mean, what? Why do we do that?
It's like very disordered thoughts about food and how you're feeling. And like, it's okay to feel bad or to treat yourself bad and indulge in whatever this is or whatever you're going to do, and just like deal with the consequences.
Deal with it
after.
Later. Right. And that's not a healthy way to be. I mean, it really isn't.
If you really look at it. Now I see it as in like, and I'm not saying every time you eat off plan that's a punishment. No. But I think when you're chronically eating,
right,
going out of your way, because I'm going to really say that's what I was doing, going out of my way. I could have stopped at the first basket of chips. I was full, but I didn't. I just decided I wanted to continue, and I knew how miserable I'd be, but I did it anyway. Mm-hmm. That's different than having a meal you enjoy. That's
Right. That's
different.
totally
And,
different.
so that's the kind of thing we're talking about is
Yeah.
it is almost a little bit when I look at it now, kind of like just just a little bit of a punishment. And I was
Well,
signing up for it.
right. And that was normal.
That was
That
normal
was
to me.
normal. That was your
Yeah.
normal.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my normal. And
Mm-hmm.
so when you become more self aware, like you were talking about a minute ago, and you realize you really like to feel good and you don't want to feel bad, you make different choices at
Yeah.
those parties and at
Yeah.
those holidays. You
And you
just
can
do.
still enjoy yourself. It doesn't have to be the misery or setting
Right.
yourself up for overdoing it.
But only you
Exactly.
decide if it's worth it. Like some people
Right.
will say, you know what? It's worth it. I'll just feel like poop tomorrow. It's no big deal. And hey, good for you. There is medicine for that, right? You can just get a prescription or you can just get an over the counter and get rid of the heartburn or whatever.
Of
But
course.
that's for example, and I'm not going to mention who it is, but someone in my family will say, I'm going to have the pizza and I'm going to have the whatever. I have Tums. I'll just take some tomorrow. And I just think, why? Why though? Why would you want to do that to yourself? Because it's normal. And that's what we're saying today. It's a
Yeah,
very
because
normal way of
you're
thinking.
in a cycle, right? And
Yes.
I think really what's happened is you're in a cycle that you can't identify until you get out. So
Right.
it on the outside now, I look at the behaviors that I was doing or the choices that I was making, and I'm like, wow.
Right.
But in that moment, I remember not thinking that there was really anything wrong
Yeah.
with my choices. I
Right.
mean, I know they weren't great. I knew that. I knew that because I was carrying extra weight. I wasn't feeling my best.
Mm-hmm.
I was tired, but like I didn't really think, I was like, I just need more sleep. I just need to drink more water.
Mm-hmm.
I, I was really good at rationalizing my behavior
Yeah.
um, to the point where I was 70, 80 pounds overweight
Right.
and really miserable, like really, really tired, miserable.
Right. Like we said at the beginning, we want to use this episode to take us back to how we used to feel. So, Ashley, tell us how you felt when you were 70, 80 pounds heavier. How did you feel?
Yeah. So, like I said, I really didn't understand how I was making choices. I didn't understand how the choices I was making and how miserable or how much worse it was making my situation. In the very beginning of trying to lose weight, I've kind of told the story on season one, but um, I wasn't super overweight as a teenager. And it was really like after my kids were born, I put on a little bit of weight before I got pregnant. Once I had both of my kids, my weight was just, I mean, it was like out of control. It was
Mm-hmm.
just yo-yo diet after yo-yo diet. Having children 18 months apart wrecked my metabolism. I
Mm-hmm.
think I was really trending towards being insulin resistant. I think that's why keto works so quickly and so well for me. Because as soon as I started making changes, I started seeing results very quickly. But I just remember, you know, losing that same 30 pounds that I always talk about in the yo-yo dieting. And I would be miserable, then get so miserable. I'm like, I got to get some of this weight off, and then be miserable while I was getting that weight off because I
Mm,
was doing
yeah.
this ultra restrictive. So, like, misery loves company, right? So, being miserable while I'm dieting, I'm doing really restrictive diets, trying not to eat, doing reckless things to try to
Yeah.
get this weight off. Punishment, punishment, punishment. That was my sort of inner dialogue.
Yeah.
You need to work harder. You're not good enough. You don't look good. You need to get this weight off. If you don't get this weight off, just all these really negative self
Put
inner
downs.
dialogue.
Yeah.
And it was causing me to punish myself, which is what I would do over and over and over again. And so I would do it, and then we would go on vacation, or I'd lose a little bit of weight and I'd have success, and I'd be so miserable, like white knuckling it, that I would, fall off the wagon or just be like, okay, I'm done. I lost this 30 pounds. Like, I'm okay right now. Like, I get it under a little
Right.
bit under control, rationalize it. And then it would spark. massive overeating periods, massive indulgences and alcohol and just, then it's like candy. And if you've done keto, or even if you haven't, you know what it's like once you go to the cabinet once, it's just like you keep going, and then you have some drinks, and then it just, the snacking, the overindulging, the sugar really, really, really had a hard grip on me.
Yeah.
And I was always tired. I had a hard time getting up. I had a hard time sleeping well. I was going to bed super late. I always felt like I needed like a drink to wind down. My inner clock was just all messed up. I mean, so then I had inflammation and, back pain, joint pain,
Mm.
just working an entire shift and being on my feet. I remember like my heels cracking from just the extra weight, like of standing all day, of having to lay with a hot pad on the couch because I was in so much pain and so just the inflammation.
Mhm.
And not any time during this period did I think, maybe it's my food.
Yeah. Isn't that something?
Right. So I spent a long time, years in this cycle, to the point where, I mean, the last go around, I was easily the highest weight I've ever been, really creeping, just trending to a very unhealthy and dangerous weight for myself, but also behaviors that were leading to, things like diabetes and high blood pressure, just the way I
Yeah.
was eating. And it almost now, even thinking about this, makes me feel like I don't even know that person.
Mm.
And I really, really see that I wasn't taking really good care of myself. And I don't know why the correlation of food.
Yeah, like I didn't understand that inflammation comes from certain things that you eat. I never knew that
Yeah.
until keto. Like I didn't
Yeah.
know that. I just thought I gained weight. I'm bigger now. I have a heavier body, and my body,
Yeah.
my legs can't hold this body,
Yeah.
because it's so much heavier weight. But it wasn't just the weight and the fat. The inflammation just makes, like you said, your joints hurt. And then the extra weight does make your back hurt. I
Yeah.
had, the hunch over. When I look back at pictures of my before pictures, I just go, wow, I was so like trying to hold myself up. It's very strange to see
Your
the
posture was
pictures.
off. Right.
Yeah. And I was
Yeah.
trying, it looks a bit strange. Like I'm trying to hold myself up, and then my belly is far out. And it's just interesting because I wasn't aware then that that's what I was doing. I
Yeah.
wasn't aware. I think a really important part of the process of losing the weight, because let's just be honest, that's what we're talking about here. Like,
Yeah.
we feel bad physically. We're talking about physical. We're not talking about emotional or mental. Believe me, we'll talk about that on another
Yeah.
episode
That's,
because we're
yeah.
all about that. But today we're
Yeah.
talking strictly about our physical health, about our physical being, how that extra weight made us feel. And Ashley has said, and I can completely relate, one of the things that I remember so clearly that just crushes me now is the lack of play that I could do with my kids.
Yeah.
I
For sure.
couldn't get on the ground and get back up. So instead, I would never get on the ground. I'm like, no, I'll just watch you from here. Like, I couldn't run around and, like do the whole tag and dodge and,
Yeah. Run
all
after
that
them,
stuff.
or yeah. I
Right.
couldn't do
I've
any of
got
that either.
boys. You've got boys.
Yep.
You know how rowdy they can be.
Oh yeah.
And I couldn't give
Keep up.
my boys that part,
Yeah.
that mom that could be there with them. And I know that that's harsh, and some people might hear that and think, well, I'm still a good mom even though I don't play with my kids because I'm too tired and whatever. No one's calling anybody a bad mom. But
Yeah.
I look back at, we're talking about us. I'm looking back at my life as a mom who was unhealthy and obese. And then I look at me now as a mom who's healthy and not obese. And there is a huge difference in
Yeah.
the physical abilities that I had to be able to give to my children that I really wanted to give them, but physically could not. And now I can, and it feels amazing. Like I
Yeah.
feel so happy and so proud to be able to
Yeah.
give my boy that, my littlest one that, because my
Yeah.
teenager, he doesn't want, he doesn't want to run around with me,
Yeah.
but I could keep up with him. I can keep up.
He stays up late with you now.
Yes, we just stay up late together and hang out. But
Yeah.
my little one, he's all around, and because you got little
Hmm.
boys.
Hmm.
So that is a big thing. And if it's
Yeah, I
something
mean, I
that,
think especially as moms, we're so used to not feeling that great. I say this a lot. It's like we wear a lot of hats as women. Some of
yeah,
us are career women, some of us are stay home. It doesn't matter what it is, but even stay home, out of the home, there are so many things we're responsible for.
yeah,
The love, the play, the laundry and the home stuff. And even if it's shared, you still have your portion, you know. And I know my husband and I split a lot of the duties because we do both work. But even then, it's the emotional support, it's the playing, it's the running around on the playground, it's the
yeah,
um just, I remember when they were little, just littler. I remember when I was feeling like really just not great, feeling like I even needed a nap every day. And I really, honestly, wasn't doing that much. I do 10 times the amount of
yeah,
things
yeah.
that I did then. And for a long time, I thought it was like, oh, because it's a baby. And like, but my first one slept all the way through the night. So not really like so sleep deprived that I would need really a nap, maybe in the very beginning, but when they're toddlers and they are sleeping through the night and
Yeah.
and even then take naps, I felt like I needed a nap every day, even after my second one was born and he was older. I just did not have energy. I mean, I was drinking so many cups of coffee. I was drinking caffeine and energy drinks on top of that. I just felt like I was always chasing, trying to just hold on.
That's a
And
good way that is an excellent way to explain
I
it.
was just chasing, surviving the next hour, the next 2 hours, the next till bedtime. And then it was like wind down time. And then I'm medicating to go to bed because I've drank all this caffeine.
Yeah.
It's just,
Such a
if you've
cycle
been
of,
there, it's such a bad cycle. And it's not just the food. It's just the lack of sleep, the food. I did not keep an eye on how much water I drink a day. I mean,
yeah.
there was a lot of things that I realized.
Again, the
Um,
awareness. It goes back to the
right.
awareness.
Right. I would, I didn't have a skincare routine. There were a lot of things. And this may seem like, oh, what does that have to do with keto? It has everything to do with keto because keto is just the way I eat. But because I started taking care of myself, I applied that to every area of my life.
Yeah.
This doesn't just affect your food. It's your food, your mood, your behavioral changes that you can make for your family, for your kids, for your job. I'm physically able to literally run. I mean, I was literally running laps in my store today this morning. I struggled to stand all day. How how? It's like
Right.
not even the same person. I almost disassociate with my older self at this point. It's been more than 2 years.
And did you go to the
And
gym after work too?
yeah, I get up, I do all this hair and makeup. I go to work all day and I work in extremely crazy all over the place. I'm juggling a lot of things at one time, running, I walk 4 to 5 miles a day. Never did
Right.
that before. Um, I then go to the gym and then look, tonight we're podcasting. I went to the
Yeah.
gym today. I worked today. I've been up since very early this morning
And
and I'm
let's add in that
still
she's got
going.
two little boys. So,
And I got two
don't
boys.
forget, and a husband. I mean, these are lots of things. Like you said,
So
lots of
yeah,
hats.
I have,
But you're still able to care
yeah,
for yourself. You put yourself,
right.
that's
And
probably a big difference too. Putting
yes,
yourself as a high priority.
first. And I
Yes,
always say, like, this is a selfish time. It is. I put myself in
absolutely.
front of everything. And a lot of times as moms, we get a bad rap for like, oh, you're going to take your kids to a sitter to do this or that. Listen here. If you have the ability to get away from your children, if you have the ability to set aside time for yourself,
Right.
to make a meal plan for yourself or create a way to make you feel better, everyone in your family and everyone around you
Will benefit.
gets a benefit from that.
Absolutely.
So be selfish. Take
Selfish
all
is
the
not
time.
a bad word.
It's not a bad
It's
thing. It
not
gets a
a
bad
bad word.
rap,
It
but is not a bad word.
not at all.
Being selfish looks like self-care sometimes. And that means putting yourself as the highest priority and everything around you. gets better. It's kind of like our, our motto is like, make your community better, it makes you better.
Right.
It's the same thing in your family. If
Absolutely.
you're running at your best, then everybody gets to enjoy that, not
They get
just
to
you.
enjoy it. They feel it. They see it.
Yeah. It's
It's
such a
even
positive.
contagious. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's such a positive ripple that you get to
Right.
decide that you're going to create that change and be a part of that. And because, we do wear a lot of hats, I think it's super important to make sure that you check in with yourself and say, am I okay though? Am I sleeping? Am I getting water? Do I walk outside at all? Am I get, you know.
Yeah. I think it's important to actually talk about that a little bit since we've talked so much about being a mom. And not all of our listeners are moms, obviously, but if you are a mom, then this is something that maybe
Or a
you're
dad even.
right. But what I'm saying, yeah, or a dad even, but what I'm
Yeah.
saying is I know a huge difference in my family is that the fact that I decided to make myself a priority and get healthy several years ago, it did carry over to my husband and to my
Yeah.
kids. And so I've got a 19-year-old right now who daily runs. He watches his caffeine intake. He takes the natural herbal supplements that will
That's
help
awesome.
different, with your immunities and stuff.
Yeah.
Because he sees me do these things and he sees how I benefit from them. And it has become a habit for him too to take good
So
care of himself, to
your
take good care
family
of
is
himself.
becoming healthier
Absolutely. So that
because of
carryover,
your choice, right? And I
because of
think,
what I chose to do, it is carried over to them. They're making choices. And I think that's important to remember. So don't
yeah,
think
I
you're
think so.
selfish. Just know that you are doing what you need to do and you are helping the ones around you. So it's actually kind of selfless. Okay. It's sharing, it's love, it's helping.
Well, I definitely feel like I had to go through a period of like, I can't take care of anyone right now. I need to really focus on myself. And that means, hey, dad, you're up. Like, for me, it did mean purging the house and not, and saying no to a lot of things. I've said this a lot of times. Sometimes to live your best life, you have to get tunnel vision.
Oh
You
yeah, yeah.
you have to
It's
stop
focus.
worrying about what
Focus.
anyone else or
Right.
anyone is doing. I've said this a million times. My kids are not keto. My husband is not keto. My husband is kind of low carb. My kids are kind of low carb. Sometimes one of them he probably would easily do keto. But that doesn't matter.
Right.
And I knew they weren't going to do it in the beginning. They weren't low carb in the beginning. They weren't, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not dependent
Sometimes
upon.
you have to get so focused on what you're doing and really hone in on how you're feeling. It comes with having a conversation with yourself. I'm not feeling my best. What are the things I want in life? You want to play. You want to have energy. You want to be able to do all the things you want to do. If you can't, that's a moment to say, okay, what can I do to make that change? And sometimes that does look like getting tunnel vision and not worrying about what anyone else thinks, what anyone else is doing, what anyone else's opinion is.
Yeah.
And that means getting focused on yourself.
Yeah.
What's going to make you feel better?
So this makes me think of something I heard, and this is a great moment for me to test it on you. Okay.
Okay. This is okay. I don't know what's going to happen. So let's
I
just
know.
let them know. This was not pre-planned. I
No, no,
promise.
no.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So I think this is so brilliant. It's clever. So first, before I ask you the question, let
Mm-hmm.
me ask you this.
Okay.
Right now in your life,
Mm-hmm.
or if you wanted to, you could take this back to your former self before you made the changes. Okay. So whatever you
Okay.
choose to do,
Okay.
what do you want? Something you want.
Back then, I wanted to lose weight
Why?
because because I didn't like the way I looked. I didn't like the way I felt. I yeah, I think yeah.
Okay. Well, then the next question would be why? Why didn't you like the way you looked? Why didn't you like the way you felt?
Um I didn't like that I was tired and I didn't like well, I think partially because of society, to be really honest. And I had never been that size. And I was really uncomfortable with being the size that I was. It's not what I wanted to, that's not what I envisioned myself.
Why not? Why didn't you want to look like that? Why didn't you want to feel like that?
Because I wasn't able to do what I wanted to do. And I wasn't living my best life, actually. Yeah.
No, okay, so see where we got to? You went from wanting to lose weight
To
to
live my
wanting to
best
live your
life.
best life. But
Yeah.
there's reasons why,
Right. Along
because
the way.
ultimately that's the reason.
The
So that
root.
you always hear, what is your why? But it's what's your why, but ask yourself 5 times. I don't know if I did 4 or 5, but we're not going to go back and count.
But you know what is so funny is I always joke because I really do want to live my best life.
So
I
there
really,
you go.
that is my goal.
That's your
Like
ultimate goal.
my ultimate goal is to my
Be all you were created to be. Are you about to cry?
yeah, my ultimate goal is like not to have any regrets because I want to live my best life and I don't want my kids to ever say I didn't because I want them to live their best lives. That's what it is.
That's what
It's
you're
not about
leaving.
me.
You're
It's
leaving
about them.
that legacy.
I want them to live their best lives. And the only person that can teach them
is you by
is
your action. By your action.
yeah. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
That's crazy. What in the world just happened?
That was a beautiful moment, though. God, it's like the second time I got to see one of your beautiful moments in person.
It's weird. It's a whole nother level of vulnerability for sure. A lot of times we stop at one why. We don't really, we
go
just get a
deeper.
surface level reason
Right.
why we're doing something.
Right. Because at the end of the day, we're deciding something. We're
Right.
always deciding something. So I was just saying, like, if you are feeling bad and you don't want to feel like this anymore and you want,
Or
you know,
maybe, and you may not know you're feeling bad, but maybe you're not feeling your best. And maybe that's all that you can
right.
really understand
Yeah.
is that you're not feeling or you are realizing that you're missing out on things or you're choosing to sit out on things and you
Yeah.
want to be a part of those things, but you deep down inside you do, but you're choosing to sit them out or you feel like you can't do them.
Right.
Because sometimes I know for myself, I really didn't understand that this was not really the way that I should be living my life. Now I can see it clear as day. Like,
Well,
Ashley, you were just not doing things.
I think we settle
Yeah, for
and we call,
sure.
and then it becomes
I'm like, it's not that bad.
right.
You
And then it
know?
becomes our
Yeah.
normal. It's our
Yeah,
normal.
for sure.
But it's okay to want more. Like you said,
Yeah,
with
for
your whys, to
sure.
live your best life. That's where you were
To live my
eventually
best
getting to. And
life.
isn't that what we all want? Don't we want to live our best life?
Yeah.
And it's
I just
okay to
want to
want
feel
that.
good in my skin. I want to be able to play. I want to be able to give my kids everything I feel they deserve. And that's, a mom who's there for them in more ways than just, you know, showing up. I want to
Right.
play. I want to be there. I want to be involved.
Right.
And
You don't
I
want to be on
was
the
not at a,
sideline. You want to
I
be in
don't
it.
want to be on the sidelines. And I don't want to be on the sidelines of my life
Right.
ever again.
Right.
I didn't realize I was sitting out more than I was enjoying and participating.
And I think that's a big awakening, like a big eye opening to get to that point. And I think sometimes, like before we can make the change, we have to want that. And so
Yeah, for sure.
if you want that, then you make a decision to go after that. Now, between getting it and here, there's a lot of steps, but you're never going to get there until you take the first step. Then you just got to keep going and keep going. But if you decide,
And like you
you
said,
can have
ask
it.
why more
Ask
than once.
why.
Don't just ask yourself why for the one thing.
Right. Go
The
deeper.
answer to that why, what's the next one? Yeah, until
Right.
you hit a wall of like, that's it.
Till you hit that
That's why.
emotional even moment of like, wow, I didn't realize. Yeah, because that can happen.
Yeah, it really can. It just did. Crazy.
It did.
It works.
It
Have someone do
works.
it to you. That's a good
Good exercise.
little exercise, little homework. Get somebody to ask you why and answer it truthfully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And go with it and see where it takes you because you just never know.
Love that.
Well, this was a good one. It's a good start. Episode 1 is a wrap. We're done.
So hopefully something resonated with you today, regardless if you're on your journey, you've fallen off. I know this last year has been rough for everybody. The last 2 years, it feels like an eternity, has been rough. So either, regardless if you're starting your journey now, or you're continuing your journey, or you're taking a new path on your same journey, or you're starting over. Hopefully you found something that resonates with you that you can use to make yourself more successful. Questions you can ask yourself to connect with your inner wants and desires, and pull out the main reasons that we do this. It's often more complicated than we think. And it's often more important than we think to take the time to ask yourself these questions, to really dig into your why. Your why is everything, and it's part of what makes you successful.
That's really good. That's it. So thank y'all for joining us, and we are very excited about this season and what we have to bring you, and we'll be back.
Stay tuned for more.
Right. Yeah. There you go.
There you go. We'll see you on the next one.
See you then. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us today. You can find and connect with us over on Instagram at More Than Just Keto. Don't forget to subscribe so that you never miss out on the fun. We'll see you next time.